Ben Carson ripped the war on poverty and social safety net programs at the CNN town hall. Let's watch.
We have a history of taking care of each other. Now, for some strange reason, starting sort of in the 20s with Woodrow Wilson, the government started getting involved in everything. It kept growing, metastasizing. By the time we got to the 60s, LBJ was saying, we, the government, are going to eliminate poverty. Now, how'd that work out? You know, $19 trillion later, 10 times more people on food stamps, more poverty, more welfare, broken homes, out-of-wedlock births, crime, incarceration. Everything is not only worse, it's much worse.
Okay, that is utterly made up. First, let's note the hilarious angle of this that right before this clip, he was just quoting Bible verses. And now, all of a sudden, when it's time to talk about programs to help the poor, he's like, help the poor? I mean, come on, that's a silly thing. Even though my God is pretty much all about that. No, helping the poor, government, nah, terrible idea. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work. No, see, this is the problem. It made the problem much, much worse. Oh, did it really? Why don't you tell that to the following people, Dr. Ben Carson? The 26.6 million people that Social Security kept out of poverty. The 260,000 people that Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program kept out of poverty. The 320,000 people that Workers' Compensation kept out of poverty. The 397,000 people that WIC kept out of poverty. The 1.2 million people that Public Assistance kept out of poverty. The 1.3 million people that School Lunch kept out of poverty. The 2.4 million people that Child Support kept out of poverty. The 2.8 million people that Unemployment Compensation kept out of poverty. The 3.3 million people that housing subsidies kept out of poverty. The 5 million people that supplemental security income kept out of poverty. The 9.4 million people that refundable tax credits kept out of poverty. And the 5 million people that Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program, the food stamps program, kept out of poverty. Tell me again how this has been an utter disaster, except those millions of people who were kept out of poverty by the social safety net. Guys, did you know that Social Security, as just one example, it cut senior poverty in half? In half. This idea that it doesn't work is just totally made up. It's this right-wing bullshit idea. See, they've already made their mind up that any social safety net program furthers dependence on government, and it keeps people poor. That's their argument. Okay, well, it turns out that when we look at the data, that's just not true. You have people who are lifted out of poverty, and many of these programs, by the way, have a time where they run out, too. So how again, is somebody being dependent on the program if it runs out no matter what at a certain point? No, then they're not being dependent. Then eventually they end up, in most cases, if there's somebody who falls on hard times, they end up finding a new job, getting out of the situation, and being okay. But these guys are against even giving people a little bit of help when times are rough, and they're against helping the elderly, helping the handicapped, the disabled, the very poor, the widowed. That's what this is about. And again, this is the guy who always talks about how much he loves Jesus, and oh my God, the message of Jesus is all I care about. I'm a deep, deep Christian. But anyway, fuck the poor. Have I mentioned that?